Hey everyone,
Hello.
welcome. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is my sister.
Hello, I am Aiko, so I'm his sister.
Yes, and so today what we're going to be doing is switching it up a little. She's going to be talking about her college experience.
Yeah, like applying to college, and I'm basically going to talk about how I got into some film schools that you might want to go to. Quinn did one of these videos, so I'm going to do one of these videos too, but it's going to go on his channel, so I don't get held accountable for flex culture.
And it's completely okay that I can flex because I've graduated. Oh.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is congrats on applying, especially with film school. I know that it's like super difficult to apply because each film school that you want to apply to has like 8 different supplements on top of the Common App. And I know for a lot of film schools, you can't just get into the actual school. You actually have to get into, like, for example, Tisch or SCA.
So we really hope you enjoy the video, and we hope it's very informative. Again, all we want to do is just help people get into college. These are the film schools that she has gotten into.
I got into USC SCA for film and television production, Chapman for film production, LMU School of Film and Television, I think it's called film production there, and then Emerson for media arts production, and then NYU Tisch for, I think it's called film and television production.
We know high school is really tough, and we wish there was a plan for people in middle school to know which courses to take or which teachers to take. So hopefully this will help you if you want to have a more rigorous academic schedule.
Yes. Okay, so before my freshman year, I took Spanish 1, and then during my freshman year, I took English 1 honors, intermediate theater, Spanish 2, geometry honors, PE 1, and biology honors. And then my sophomore year, I took English 2 honors, pre-advanced theater, Spanish 3 honors, algebra 2 honors, physics 1 honors, and European history AP. And then my junior year, I took AP seminar, English 3 AP, advanced theater, Spanish 4 AP, pre-calculus honors, math analysis, and then physics 2, electronics honors. And then my senior year, I took physics C AP, advanced theater, AP research, AP statistics, AP English 4, so that's AP literature, and then AP macroeconomics. Also in my senior year, I took walking PE through Brigham Young University, so that's how I got my second PE requirement. Yeah, and that's what I...
5 APs for senior year.
Yeah, and then in terms of grades, I had A's in all of them. In terms of GPA, I have a 4.0 unweighted and then a 4.40 weighted. My previous misconceptions about going into high school, and I was like worried about all these things. The first one was about calculus. So I ended up actually not taking calculus. I didn't take AB or BC.
That's really good for art students. College doesn't normally require math as general education.
A lot of people told me that I needed to take all the different sorts of like science in order to get in. So like I had to have chemistry in my schedule, but I really liked physics. So I took 3 years of physics, but I got in anyway. So there's broadcast journalism, and then there's also film academy. And I didn't take either of those, even though I'm a film student, and I actually took theater for all 4 years.
That's T.
Yeah, well, in terms of film academy, that was like more of a choice because if I did film academy, I would have to give up a couple of my APs. And then in terms of broadcast journalism, they rejected me. So I'm also going to talk about summer programs because obviously you should like learn how to make films in some capacity, even if it's not through your school. So I took New York Film Academy's 4-week summer intensive. I went to the UCLA Film and Television Production Camp. It was 2 weeks. So Kappa, I took their 2-week advanced filmmaking intensive.
Common App.
Yes,
Ooh.
Common App. Okay, so they ask on your Common App what honors you have, so I'm just going to read the ones that I put down. I am a Mensa Honors Society member. I'm a Platinum member, which basically means I think I completed like 275 volunteer hours.
That's a lot of time.
And then I'm also a California Scholarship Federation member, so that's CSF, and then National Honor Society member, so that's NHS. Bank of America student leader, so I was an intern over the summer between my junior and senior year. It was like a 6-week internship, and then they gave me a stipend. And then I was also a national thespian. And then in terms of testing, I had a 1520 SAT score and then a 35 ACT score. I also took the biology SAT subject test, and I got a 720 on that. During my year, I was test optional, but I was lucky enough to take my test in December of 2019, so that was like 2 months before everything shut down. The first extracurricular that I did was Student Production Club. So I was the founder in 2018, and then I was the senior president from 2018 to 2020. So there I wrote, directed, and produced one play, won the California playwrights project, so that basically meant that my play got produced in San Diego. I also was a Thespian Playworks winner, so my play got produced through ITS. And then I collaboratively wrote, directed, and produced 2 more plays and 1 film. But that film ended up being canceled. The other thing that I did was robotics, so that was top of my list. So I was the team captain for 1 year, a vice president for 1 year, one of the business heads for 3 years, and then this is First Tech Challenge Robotics. My team is Pfizer 15 Buffalo Wings. Yay, represent!
Woo!
And then in my description, I said that I led discussions. We won 2 regional and 7 league awards. And then we raised $17,000 for world championships, and then hosted and attended outreach events. So the other thing that I put down is that I was a videographer, director, or freelance filmmaker. And so I said that I was a videographer for 3 organizations, and then I worked on 25 short films, and I earned 23 festival awards. Okay, the next thing that I did was theater. So I was an assistant director for 1 production, but that got canceled. And then I was a publicist for a couple, I think it was 1 year. I was an actress for all 4 years. I edited 1 virtual play, or co-edited 1 virtual play with my teacher. And then I acted in 3 showcases. And so the festival awards that I submitted to, that I would say would be really good for you guys to submit to if you want to be film people, it would be, my favorite experiences have been with the All-American High School Film Festival. I really liked SoCap's Tap Into Film Slam. 4 Walls Film Fest was a big one. Ivy Film Awards. Community service, I was a capstone project leader for 3 years and a marketing intern for our local educational foundation, Student Leadership Council. I was the vice president, or a co-VP for 1 year and a VP for 1 year, and then an event coordinator for 1 year for the Spoken Word Poetry Club, which he actually founded.
Ooh, she took on the legacy.
Yeah, but our friend, we love her. It's her birthday today. She's the president right now.
Go Marina.
Yay, Marina. And then I also wrote in here, individually finaled for 2 national competitions and then published in 4 magazines. For example, Mensa's YM2. That's what the magazine is called. And then the other thing that I wrote down is that I was part of Academic League, and then I was a part of the Society of Women Engineers. In terms of our school district, I was someone that is called a champion. I was also a part of the Student Superintendent Board Council. So I'm going to talk about my Common App, but I'm not going to read all of it, so it's going to be linked below. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what I basically wrote about. So I talked about creating Student Production Club and why I made it. And so at the very beginning, I did a little introduction about sort of something that was really personal to me. I mean, you guys can read it, but it was something that I really cared about. And it was really specific to myself, so that's a writing tip that I have, is just make sure that it's something that is completely you. The last section of the Common Application would be letters of recommendation. The ones that I knew separately from my teachers were my principal, my Bank of America's advisor, and then my playwrights project advisor, and then the people my teachers both basically submitted to the Common App, but those 3 people submitted to the film supplemental things.
Ooh, this is the big one.
All right, what you've all been waiting for, USC SCA Film Production. Okay, so for USC, there's a bunch of things that you have to submit.
Is it number 1? Do we know?
There's a bunch of things that you have to submit to the slide room. So the first thing that you need to submit is the Cinematic Arts Personal Statement, a writing sample, creative portfolio list, collaboration question, video introduction, media sample, and 3 letters of rec. This is my Cinematic Arts Personal Statement for USC. The thing that I was worried about is that it was a poem, and everywhere that you read, it says don't submit poems to schools. So this was a risk, but it's fine.
Don't suppress yourself creatively.
Yeah. Fade in, interior. The camera pans to a girl in a cafe. It's 2019, she's 16, she wishes the weather would be cheerier. Her bike lays outside, inferior ridden and rained upon, she should cry, but she remembers her favorite movie quote, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think," and she begins to hum. Flashback voiceover, please feel free to take a seat. Here's the story of my life written to the rhythm of my own heartbeat. Chicago, Illinois, 1995. A doctor and a scientist wed. The scientist is diagnosed with SLE, a disease that wants her dead. Sacramento, California, 2003, where the girl is born allergic to the air, unable to breathe. The scientist and doctor concede. They agree to move to Carlsbad, California to mitigate the girl's allergies. See. That's where the girl grew up, a childhood chock full of chalk, dress up, makeup, and teacups, close up. In the 4th grade, the scientist had 3 months to live, but she had too much love to give, so while she fought, she still taught the girl how to grow and forgive, how to work hard for every single breath. Voiced over, thank God, my mother narrowly escaped death. And from then on, work hard was all the girl did, competing in science competitions, immense, and continuously appearing in the Better Education for Women in Science and Engineering, a fan of HTML and Java coding, a member of the Society of Women Engineers, and yet, as a publicist, thespian, Choilyfoot, martial artist, pioneer, it's clear that she learned that art and science are not mutually exclusive. The girl, after all, has always been a storyteller. Insert the girl producing her first screenplay. Insert the girl in spoken word poetry club on Fridays. Insert the girl leading student production club on Thursdays, not for her transcript, but for students to pitch their own scripts for a feature-length production. See, she learned how to calculate, but also to create, to be with her team during the World Robotics Competition in Houston, but also to win the Playwrights Project and be professionally produced in San Diego, California. The scientist and the doctor look at their biology degrees and ask the girl, how'd you get so passionate about the storytelling industry? She reminds them how they are also secret storytellers. How the doctor's a book collector, how the scientist got better, how the brother's an actor and they'd whisper her favorite movie quote every night to fall asleep. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. So the girl will breathe cinema and she will no longer be allergic to the air, only letting hard work take her there. Cut to the girl sits in her bedroom, light from the windows breaks up the gloom. She notices things strewn around her room, a map for Pandacornia, a fictional world she created, paper plate awards of which she's been nominated, first female president from her academic league team, from robotics, most promising teen, most likely to be seen on a red carpet from her cast and crew, and easiest to talk to, just to name a few. On her bedside is a container of nuts and screws. In her closet is her uniform for kung fu. Stacks of science fiction, it's becoming an addiction. Calculations for static friction. A signed poster of Tara Strong. Her family set a mahjong, a CD for a Disney princess sing-along. She sees the scraps of her biracial background. An ancestry book from her father of the Midwest, a picture of her Filipino grandfather in his military vest. She asks herself, what movies will I make? What pushes me to create? Why do I feel this urge and push to always write, direct, and communicate when the world won't stop telling me to wait? Voiceover, my determination will make films that inspire the coming generation and illuminate causes that need narration. Creative arts and education, women in STEM, poetic cinema, and how my mom immigrated to America. Films that reflect the life of a biracial Filipina girl who wants to revolutionize representation in the media world. She took a second look around her room at the scattered storyboards and cartoons. From where she stood, she could see the pink remnants of her childhood. There was a common thread in the script she read, the spots in her room where her eyes seemed to tread, and a familiar saying beats in her head, write what you know. She'll make stories with a strong female presence, stories teaching lessons depicting the nuances of adolescence and the struggle for acceptance, stories about disease, the fleetingness of existence, and how it's important to live in the present, stories about multicultural descent, stories about science, her grandfather's war stories and the pain he underwent, stories about the discipline and tears of martial arts, stories compiled from the 17 years in which she's always listened to her heart. These are the stories she'll make, and she won't ever stop. The reason why she bikes each day to her local coffee shop, observes and eavesdrops on customers as they come and go nonstop. She writes scripts on her laptop and attends film industry virtual workshops. The reason she wakes up at 4 a.m. for a dawn shot, directs actors with all the skills she's been taught, because all she wants to do is give the world a little food for thought. The camera pans to a girl, she exits. It's no longer 2019, she's 17 and obsessed with the behind the screen. Cut to exterior, her bike lays outside a cafe, inferior, ridden and rained upon. The girl picks it up and hums on and on and on. Fade out. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the writing sample. So there's 3 options for the writing sample. There's a description of a 4-minute film that contains no dialogue, a dialogue scene between 2 people, and describe the concept for a feature-length movie. Those are the 3 options. I chose option B. I think that would be the most common option. That's what I've heard.
We'll link it in the description.
Yeah, I'll just link it. The next thing that you do is a creative portfolio list. So this is where you write all of the creative art projects that you've ever done. So I broke mine up into student production club, that was a section, and then film, and then theater, and then writing. Those were my 4 sections, and it ended up being 6 pages. The next thing that they required was a video introduction. So a 30 to 60 second video of myself just talking about why I think SCA is right for me. And my whole thing was an analogy for coffee, because I really like coffee. So I said that like being a filmmaker is like making coffee, because you can have all of the resources and ingredients and all that stuff, but if you don't have a good coffee maker, or if you don't have a good school, then like you can't really like produce like the coffee or, you know, the films that you want to make. The collaboration question. So it's 2 pages. Mine was like size 11 font, single space or something like that. It was like really long. It was like, talk about a time where you learned how to collaborate. For me, I talked about my robotics team. A piece of advice that I would give is that if you're gonna talk about one thing in one part of your application, just like don't repeat it, so you could show that you have like different layers of yourself. We learned how to collaborate over many years, and because of that, like, we not only gained more success as a team, but we felt closer as a team, and that's what really matters. Next thing is my media sample. So mine was 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and Quinn was in it, and so was Marina, that we mentioned earlier.
Go Marina!
Yeah, I'm gonna link it. Most schools require you to have a 5-minute video. I would say like USC and NYU both require it to be 5 minutes, LMU requires 3 minutes, and Chapman requires 2 minutes. Basically, as a whole, I've heard so much advice to tell me that I shouldn't shoot one video and then cut it down. That's like the advice you hear. Everyone says just shoot 2 different ones for the different lengths. I did not do that because I ran out of time. I also don't recommend that, like, yeah, so.
If you're low on time.
Yeah, if you're low on time, if it's a struggle, then yeah, just do that. The Chapman Dodge personal statement, I'll just link it down below. Again, the one piece of advice that I would have for the personal statement for Dodge is to really think about why you want to be a storyteller. That's the best advice I have. For me, I really thought about where was the beginning moment? Where did I decide I wanted to do this? So the next thing is an emphasis question. It basically says, what is your area of emphasis? Cinematography, editing, directing, production design, or sound design? I chose directing, and I talked about how my theater experience and how that prepared me for that track. In my writing sample, it says, in no more than 1 page, write a true story about something that happened to you or someone that you know. And so for me, it was another spoken word poem. It was about how my grandparents met. I won't read it, but if you guys want me to send it to you, you could DM me on Instagram. And then my creative resume, I basically cut down the USC resume or portfolio into 5 to 7 pieces. That's basically it. It's just my favorite pieces that I did. So LMU, for film and television production, the thing that you had to submit was a visual sample, and it had to be 3 minutes. So again, the same film, cut down. And then a portfolio list, which was literally exactly what I gave USC. So that's it, that's LMU. Now I'm gonna talk about Emerson. They only required a film or video submission up to 5 minutes. So I, again, just submitted my film. Now I'm gonna talk about NYU. Okay, so NYU had a lot. So the NYU one had a 1-page resume, and then our thing about tell us a story, I could put it down below. I had to write it specifically for NYU. And then what's in your carry-on? I guess I can put that down below as well. It just is like picking 5.
We're giving you all the cheat codes.
Lots of things. And then of course the creative submission, which is again, the film that I made. So I got 2 interviews, one for USC and one for Chapman. The Chapman one was, I think, pretty short. It was like 10 or 15 minutes. The one thing that I'll say about USC is that I accidentally like called them UCLA. I was like, what's it like teaching at UCLA? And then I like completely died on the inside. It was horrible. And then after that, he said, do you have any other questions? And then my mind was just racing and I couldn't figure it out. And so I just said, like, if you were a utensil, what utensil would you be?
It left an impression.
Yeah, that's what people said. It's like, well, you obviously made an impression. It was just awkward. And
when you told me that, I was like, I don't know if she got it.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was kind of like similar in my last video where I said, oh, I like chemistry and nukes are bad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're just being yourself, I think they'll get a kick out of it.
Chapman, there were a bunch of questions. What's your favorite thing to do? Or like, what do you do really often or something like that? So for all those questions, I was just truly myself. Like, what is my favorite thing to do? Like I said, I like dropping off boba at my friends' houses. Where do you want to travel the most? And so I said, like, the Studio Ghibli Park in Japan. In terms of NYU, I remember it being like, why NYU? My biggest recommendation for this one is just to research the college. Talk about a specific moment that made you realize, like, oh, this is a school that I want to go to. USC had the same question for me. Again, I just thought of, why do I want to go to this school? Like, where was the first moment that I realized I really liked this school? And then another USC question was like interdisciplinary study. That was the one that I chose. And so, of course, I talked about science. So I'm going to talk about theming your application. This is something that I've heard from a bunch of people that you should do, which is basically only doing like things that fit into certain categories. Like for me, I guess it ended up being film, business, and science. Do I feel like that is necessary? Like, no. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like little hacks that people do, like, oh, you have to go to this like event, or you have to do this thing and all this other stuff, like in order to get in. Or
visit the school's website.
Yeah, like, or things like that. And I mean, it just ended up those things ended up being what I was passionate about. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they want to see. It's not really like, oh, I can't start doing like, you know, karate halfway through my high school career because it's not going to show commitment or anything like that. Like, an example, Quinn and I both quit stuff during high school. Like, don't be afraid of that. I quit speech and debate my freshman year after a whole year of doing it.
The rumor with the clicking on the website, though, I heard that they have like a counter.
Yeah, like I mean, okay.
I can also disprove that because I never this is like tea, but I never visited USC's website when I applied.
Yeah, he got in.
Congratulations, you made it to the end again. Very exciting.
So yeah, to wrap up everything, I just want to say, like, I know it might be a little discouraging to like look at people's stats and be like, oh my gosh, this person got in because of this ACT score, like this person got in because obviously this is so good, like, but the variety of students that they picked is like, there's a lot of variety in them. Obviously you can watch Quinn's video and just see like the difference in grades, the difference in everything, like there's not one path to get to, you know, being
where
accepted.
You want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we really hope you enjoy. Remember, if you have any questions, please DM my sister at Aiko Lozar on Instagram, or me, and we'll try to help you the best that we can, because all we really want to do is just help you, because we know this journey is extremely stressful.
It is so stressful. I've like not talked about that enough,
yeah,
but it is stressful.
It is very stressful, and honestly, like, they don't talk about this enough in high school.
We want to help because I've asked so many, like, I asked people about like, what do you like this school, blah blah blah, like no one responds. Like, Quinn and I are very very kind people. Like, we will tell you anything.
We'll try to be as transparent as possible. We hope you enjoy. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, and have a great time in quarantine.